It's you were asleep, now you're not. And your brain has already filed 17 different things that could go wrong this week. That thing you said in the meeting 3 years ago, it's back. The email you need to send tomorrow, the one you haven't written. Your brain has now scheduled a full rehearsal of everything that could go wrong with it. At 3:09 in the morning. While your body is under a blanket, going nowhere. Here's what nobody tells you. This isn't anxiety. It's not stress. It's not a symptom of something broken in you. It is, almost perfectly, your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. And the thing that's making it worse, the thing you're probably doing right now, is something a psychologist at Harvard proved makes it worse. Every single time. We'll get there. Your sleep isn't one long continuous state. It runs in cycles, each one roughly 90 minutes long. And by the time rolls around, most people have already completed 3 of them. The 4th cycle, the one that should be starting right now, contains more REM sleep than any cycle before it. And REM is unusual. Your body is almost fully paralyzed, but your brain is running at something close to waking speed. Here's where the problem actually begins. Between sleep cycles, there's a brief transition, a micro-awakening. Most people never remember them. But around something physiological kicks in that makes this transition harder to sleep through. Your adrenal glands release the hormone that triggers a cortisol spike. Cortisol is your primary alertness hormone. Every morning, your body stages a cortisol surge to help you wake up. The problem is, that process starts around At your body is already in the early stages of its morning alert sequence. The physiological threshold between sleeping and waking has never been thinner. And then, in slides your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, long-term perspective, and distinguishing between this is a real emergency and this is a Wednesday, and it is running at significantly reduced capacity. When the prefrontal cortex goes quiet, something else gets louder. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection center. It doesn't need logic. It needs patterns. Right now, in the dark, half-conscious, with cortisol climbing and your rational governor offline, it starts scanning. Is there a threat? There might be a threat. Let's check. Let's check everything. So the biology explains why you wake up. It doesn't explain why those thoughts. Why the argument from 2019? Why the unpaid bill? Why your performance review, your relationship, the conversation you've been putting off since September? Here's the answer, and it is not comforting. During the day, your brain runs on directed attention. You're focused on tasks, inputs, goals. Your default mode network, the network that activates when you're not focused on the outside world, gets suppressed. At there's no task. There's nothing to direct your attention toward, so the default mode network activates fully. And the default mode network does something specific. It runs threat simulations, it replays unresolved situations, rehearses future conflicts, models worst-case scenarios. This is not pathological. This is what it's designed for. It's trying to protect you. The unresolved email, the difficult conversation, the financial anxiety you pushed through at PM because you had a deadline. Your brain tagged all of those as unfinished. And at with nothing competing for its attention, it opens every unfinished file it has. Your brain is not torturing you. It's doing paperwork. Now here's the part I have to be honest with you about. Because most videos about waking at will give you a breathing exercise here, or tell you to write in a gratitude journal, or remind you to limit screen time before bed. And those things are not wrong, but they miss the mechanism. And missing the mechanism means you'll try them, feel okay for tonight's, and then at 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday you'll be right back at the ceiling. In 1987, a psychologist named Daniel Wegner at Harvard ran a now famous experiment. He told participants, try not to think about a white bear. Every time the thought appears, ring a bell. They rang the bell constantly. He called it ironic process theory. The act of suppressing a thought requires your brain to constantly monitor for that thought, to check that it isn't occurring, and the monitoring itself triggers the thought. Every time you have a racing thought at and tell yourself stop thinking about this, you think about it more. Every time you think I need to sleep, I can't be awake right now, why can't I just sleep, you have just told your amygdala, which is already scanning for threats, that something is wrong. Your brain doesn't know you're angry about being awake. It just hears urgency. It hears alarm, and it responds to alarm the way it's supposed to. It wakes you up more. The cruel part, the part that's genuinely difficult to accept, is that your effort to fix this is the problem. The anxiety about the anxiety. The frustration about the thoughts. The desperate attempt to force your mind quiet. You are lying in the dark, fighting your own brain, and your brain is winning, and it will always win, because it is you. There is no force available to you that is stronger than your own mind, which means force is the wrong tool entirely. Here is what the research actually shows. Not try to relax, the brain cannot take commands from itself. Not think positive thoughts, you cannot interrupt a threat detection scan by suggesting it isn't necessary. What works is a concept called scheduled worry time. The name sounds almost trivially simple, which is why people dismiss it before they try it. The mechanism is this: your default mode network opens unfinished files at a M, because those files have no scheduled review. They are open cases. They require resolution. You cannot close them at a M. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't have enough capacity to actually solve the problem of your performance review. While you're horizontal in the dark with cortisol building and the DMN running at full speed. But you can do something else. You can schedule a meeting. Not metaphorically. Literally. A specific time tomorrow, not vague. Not sometime. Not I'll deal with it, where you will sit with those thoughts and give them your full, daytime, prefrontal cortex intact attention. Research by psychologist Thomas Borkovic at Penn State showed that people who practiced scheduled worry time reduced nighttime intrusive thoughts significantly, not because they solved the problems during the session, but because they changed the brain's relationship to the timing of those problems. The brain learns, these thoughts have a place. They will be seen. I don't have to run them now. It takes 2 to 4 weeks of consistent practice. The first time you try it at a M, it won't work perfectly. That is expected. You are teaching your threat detection system a new protocol. It does not update on first instruction, but it updates. The reason you wake up at a M with racing thoughts is not that something is wrong with you. Your cortisol is rising on schedule. Your prefrontal cortex is doing what it does. Your default mode network is working exactly as designed. You're half-conscious, biologically primed for alertness, with your rational brain partially offline, and your threat detection system has a backlog. And the single thing that makes it worse, that turns 5 minutes of micro-awakening into 2 hours of ceiling staring, is the decision to fight it. So here is the one thing that follows from everything you just heard. The next time you wake at a M, don't try to stop the thoughts. Open your phone, go to your calendar, and schedule 20 minutes tomorrow afternoon where you will actually think about them. Then say out loud or just in your head, I hear you. We have a meeting. And see what happens. If you want to go deeper on this, the neuroscience of how sleep changes your emotional processing, why some nights are worse than others, and what the data actually says about sleep restriction therapy, that's what this channel is for. The next video is right there.